Welcome back, everybody, to episode 6 of the Warm Up Podcast. Bit of technical difficulties today. I don't have the mic thing, so we're going to be holding the mic, but that's what it is.
Clamp.
Huh? The clamp? The clamp? The mic clamp?
What? We don't need the clamp because we're doing amazingness without it.
100%. It might be better. If it goes good, then the clamps are out.
This will be our thing.
Yeah. We have a very special guest today. A recent good friend of mine.
Yes.
The leader of the Entourage.
One with Jack.
One of the leaders of the Entourage. Good personal friend. Moonee Ponds native.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just an all-round good guy. Is that what? Are there any other credits I should throw in? The winner of the Australian Apprentice season 1. How did I leave that out?
That's all right.
He's joining. He's gracious enough to join us today, and I'd like to welcome Andrew Morello.
Fantastic. Andre, thanks for having me.
Yeah, congratulations on the kid.
Great, thank you. Yes, got a new son, Lion Mane Morello.
There you go.
So Joe's very happy because his grandfather was Leone.
Yeah.
I named it after his grandfather. I said I didn't even know that it was named Leone.
Yeah, but don't tell him.
I know. Just let him have his day.
Yeah.
Until he hears this.
Yeah. Well, he's not. Hey, he's not going to hear this.
He might.
Yeah.
You don't know. He might.
Maybe.
He might.
Maybe. So I actually haven't. It's funny. I haven't run Andrew past anything. I haven't run you past how this goes.
I prefer that.
But yeah, it's good because what I've usually done in the past, and I think it's a good method, is just start from the beginning.
Yes.
And end at the end.
Great.
So like, what I've done in the past, but we won't have to stick to this, is like tell me about your family, your parents, your upbringing, how they came over here, if they were born here.
Yes.
Your upbringing, what got you onto the path you're on today.
Yes.
When you changed paths, what happened?
Yes.
Anyway, you get the gist.
Yep.
So like, I mean, do you want to tell me a little bit about how you ended up here in Australia?
So my mother and father were born in Italy.
Yeah.
They come on a boat in 1956 I always make it as a bit of a joke, but there's a little bit of truth in the joke with one shoe and an empty suitcase.
Yeah.
My father was quite young, my mother was quite young, so obviously they come out with their parents. So I'm first generation Australian. And, you know, I've taken probably the core values that were bred into me as a first generation Australian by my parents, and I've taken those core values and I've tried to evolve on them. I've tried to grow on them, and then bring it into the modern day world. So, which has worked out pretty well thus far.
Yeah.
But you know, my business story started on the corner of Pascoe Road and Buckley Street in Moonee Ponds at my father's service station, Morello Motors, which has just recently been sold. So congratulations to my dad after a big career in petroleum and service stations and mechanical repairs. But what effectively has happened off the back of that is I took those core fundamental values that I learned working at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old at my dad's service station, and then I implemented it into my own business at 15, which was running drug and alcohol-free blue light discos effectively, but on a much larger scale. So I took what people were doing already. I think I have a very good ability to take what people do already and then upscaling it and making it next level. And so I did that down in Melbourne at 15, and then at 18 got into property. Did well in property, and then at 23, 24, won the first Australian Apprentice, ended up with Mark Burris and bought into the Entourage, and the rest has been history.
That has been the quickest. Oh, that's it then, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah. No, it's good. Like, that's a good, like, summation of the whole thing. But I think we should maybe go into a little bit more deeper about everything. Like, I'm interested in how your dad came over here, what he did before in Italy, and what made him get into the service station industry when he came here.
You know what? Out of all the interviews I've ever done, and out of all the people I've met, no one's ever asked that question. So I'm impressed that you asked that. So, but I do know the answer.
Yeah, I
know the answer. I know the answer. Yeah, my father was given a child's toy, a die-cast metal toy as a child, and it was of a car. And he had the toy, and he would play with it and he only had one toy growing up in Mooney Ponds, right, as a child after he came on the boat from Italy. And he'd play with it, and he would polish the car on the toy up in a die-cast metal toy, and then he'd put it back in the box and under his bed. He had one toy. And he became obsessed with cars because of that one toy. And off the back of that, he went and did his apprenticeship at a place called Preston Motors in Melbourne, and wrote, wrote his future based off the back of that toy. Like cars became his passion. I know. Yeah. No one ever asked that, but he had one toy. He had quite, my grandfather and grandmother, beautiful people, and obviously coming from war-torn Italy, had, probably some PTSD, some trauma from what they had experienced. But my father made his own future and truly rose to the occasion by starting his first business very young.
Yeah, that's
across the road
cool.
from where he grew up, ironically. Yeah. And then bought his first service station, then his second one, and then so on and so on.
Right, so it's always been the path for you then.
It has, but it all started with that die-cast metal car.
That's
that
amazing.
toy. Yeah.
And your mum? Was she I know in that generation it's almost like the father goes and does, it's International Women's Week, but father goes and does the service station.
My father and my brother and my sister and I would not be who we are today or where we are today if it wasn't for my mother. So like my mother, she played, one might call the traditional supportive role, but I would argue that the fundamentals that my brother, my sister and I grew up with were actually, what I should say, probably carved out by our mother.
Yeah.
She had this amazing ability to be truly selfless. She had an amazing ability to forgive. She had a very hard life, her childhood, but she gave us unconditional love. That unconditional love gave us the confidence and the motivation to be able to do the things that we've accomplished.
Unbelievable. That's I don't know what to say. That's fantastic. That's so
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like she passed away last year. For those who don't know, she passed away last year, and it was an end of a matriarchal dynasty where there was an amazing ability that. And I'm not saying this in a misogynistic way or insensitive way to women's empowerment. I come from a very matriarchal sister as well. She's really risen to the occasion. Yeah. And she's a general manager of a philanthropic arm to our business. And she's a very accomplished woman. She went to Oxford University. She's got, she lived in Europe for 12 years and got an amazing, illustrious corporate career. But my mother forged a path in this beautiful balance symbiotically between doing, yes, being that supportive role to my father, but more importantly, being that supportive role to us children.
Yeah. That's cool. So then, going on from that, you kind of touched on it. You worked in your dad's service station briefly, like for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yes.
And then from seeing how he's run a business and this and that, you decided that you're going to try and start your own little business.
Another good question. My dad had a rule back in our house. He said, like, when you make your own money one day, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So while I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 9 months old and 14 and so forth, I was at the ransom of my father. You know, like I was, Mooney Ponds was a bit of a wild place back then. And I, in my head, went like, the faster and the sooner that I can make my own money, the faster and the sooner I can do whatever I want. So effectively what ended up happening was at 15, at like 14, I went to the Mooney Valley Council, a lady named Carol Espinoza, I should probably give her a mention, Carol Espinoza, and I came to her with an idea. I said, I want to take underage blue light discos out of a hall and I want to put them into a nightclub. And there was this beautiful grey area in the law where you could do that as long as there was no alcohol in the venue. Yeah. So I was solely taking the venue for venue space and serving soft drink and so forth and so forth. And I suppose the legislation hadn't caught up to it at that point. Yeah. And that's what I did. I ran these events in Mooney Ponds initially. Then from Mooney Ponds we went to the Metro in Melbourne. If anyone listening's from Melbourne, they'll remember the Metro at 15 Burke Street. Then I ran them at QBH, Queensbridge Hotel, across the road from the Now Casino. But like, it was funny because one of the biggest motivators was my father saying to me, when you make your own money, you can do whatever you want. And I went, okay. Yeah. So then what I did is I made my own money.
Yeah, but you know what impresses me the most about that story? It's like, most 14, 15-year-olds that you speak to, not that I speak to many, but like, they'd go, yeah, so then I got a job at a cafe and I started doing that.
Yeah.
But you, your entrepreneur brain, it seems to me you've always been an entrepreneur because it's like, I'm not going to go work in a cafe. I'm going to actually make a whole industry in fucking Melbourne.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Isn't that, don't you think that's funny? Have you ever thought about that?
I think, Andre, I wanted to work smarter, not harder. So at the time, what ended up happening was I saw my father working very hard. I saw my brother working very hard in real estate, which I later went into. But I thought there's got to be a smarter way of doing this, right?
Yeah.
And I think at 14, 15, 16, 17, it was, what a great way to leverage my networks and my opportunities and the schools that I was around. I went to St. Bernard's in Melbourne. I was vice captain in 2003. And there were 6 all-girls schools around me. So I thought, look, as long as I can get the girls there, the boys will follow.
Yeah.
And it was a foolproof business plan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's genius.
So the first night I ever ran, I was like 14 and 11 months or 15 years old, whatever it might be. Actually, it was March when I was 15, because my birthday's the 15th of March in a couple of weeks. And I ran it because I did Morello's birthday. No, the second one was Morello's birthday. The first one would have been February, and ladies' night. And then foolproof system. And the second one I ran was Morello's birthday. I thought, if I can fill out the venue twice in a row, then I'm good as gold. And legitimately, I was good as gold.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, I love doing it like this, Dad, boom, grows up, 16, 17, 18, 19, doing that. Then, you finished high school.
Yep.
Did you go to university or did you decide?
Did not. No degrees. I've got a real estate license, which I did at a local TAFE and at Swinburne TAFE down in Melbourne. But yeah, I was school for me was, especially in high school, was certainly about the entertainment factor. I loved being at school because I had fun. Yeah. And it was fun for me. Did I do very well academically? No, I didn't. But I had great teachers. I had great support network. The school, we did a lot of philanthropic work. So that was where my passion for charity and philanthropy came after, while I was at school doing volunteer work with St. Vincent de Paul. And then the reality was that's where I sort of realised this was my true calling and this was the path I was going to go on.
Down the philanthropic path.
Yeah, so now we've got a couple of orphanages in Cambodia with Sunrise Village Cambodia.
Shout out. Put the link.
Put
the link. I always do that.
Please put the link.
Here there might be a photo.
Great.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Great.
Photo,
so
maybe link down there.
We'd love that.
Yeah.
If you can support us in any way. So Sunrise Village Cambodia with Geraldine Cox, Order of Australia Medal winner. I've got also, I sit on the board for Project Gen Z, which we do entrepreneurial workshops in Cambodia with orphans that are rescued from child prostitution, begging circles, abandoned by their families. So we try and teach them entrepreneurialism. And then I also sit on the board for Seed Foundation Australia, which is for Indigenous education in remote Indigenous communities.
All right. Well, look, I'm going to put all of those links in the description. I'll do that.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, and then anyone feels obliged to, or not obliged, feels inclined to donate, you'll find the links below.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, okay, so that's so interesting. So then, we got to finished high school, then you had to decide a path. What path are you going to take? I want to know how you got into real estate and how you got out of it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not out of it. I'm still in it.
Yeah, no, but hold on. Is real estate the thing straight after high school? You went to TAFE?
I did. Yeah. So, ironically, I didn't work for my family business.
Yeah.
My brother believed in avoiding a thing called nepotism. And for those of you who don't know, nepotism means getting looked after because you're a family member. So my brother actually got me an interview, which I was actually rejected initially. While I was 17 still, I was leading. So I finished school in November 2003, and I was still 17 until March 2004.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, I was 18 March 2004. And so, what ended up happening was I went for a job interview, and I was having a good time. I had my long curls like I've got again now, and I had my headband in like I do now. So I was trying my hardest to get back to that point in my life, but I certainly wasn't real estate ready, let's call it. But I went for an interview with a guy named Adrian Butera in Williamstown, who's now one of my good mentors and one of my good friends. He taught me how to be an auctioneer as well, and he kind of wasn't that interested initially. I think he contacted my brother and said, Andrew it looks like he's just having a good time, which I was.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I was having a good time. But then I went back about, it might have been like 18 and 3 months at that point, and he called me in, and he'd just lost his right-hand man, his little sidekick, and he... would you be interested in coming on board and working alongside me, Adrian Patera at Compton and Green Real Estate? And I said, in Williamstown, and I said, you know what, I'll give it a go. So I went and did that. And then within it was supposed to be like a 2-year program. So from like 18 to 20, it was supposed to be a 2-year program. You were supposed to meet certain metrics. And what ended up happening was I met those metrics well and truly before
The 2 years.
Yeah, like 6 months in, and he turned to me and he said, "What do you want to do? Do you want to go as someone else's assistant, or do you want to go out on your own? What do you?" And I said, "I'll go out on my own," and that's when I started my proper real estate career.
What? So you're what? You're like not even 19. And
No, I'm 18 and 6 months. Yeah, 18 and 6 months. Went out on my own and started listing and selling real estate.
Incredible.
Yep.
So how long did you do that for?
I was doing that at Compton and Green until 21, and then at 21, I went and joined the family business, which back then was Thompson Real Estate, and then became Jealous Craig Real Estate later.
What do you mean your brother?
My brother. Yeah, my brother. So then I went and joined the family business, got involved there, opened up some offices with my brother, and then eventually got to a point where I was killing it. So I was running $1 million a year in real estate, which was great. And I was young. There was probably a bit of arrogance there. There was probably a little bit of hubris. And I thought I was a rock star, which was great. But then my friend, and I should probably mention him, Spiro Vassiliadis, from now Jealous Craig. He works with us now at our company. But back then he was Century 21 Clarinda. He said, "You should try out for The Apprentice." And I turned around and I said to him, I said, "Bro, I don't have time for this rubbish."
Wow. Okay, so that's straight off the back of real estate.
Yeah.
Could I ask before, because I really wanted to get to this, and I'm excited to hear about it. I need to ask this, though. I think maybe even for the fans.
Yes.
The fan that I've got out there.
Yeah,
right?
great.
It sounds like up until this point, you've nailed everything.
Yeah.
You've hit everything, sixes for everything, right?
Yep.
About your biggest hardship up until that point.
Look, the biggest hardship was...
what's the chip on your shoulder back there?
Yeah, so I a couple of things, and I've done this work with my shaman and my psychologist now. So it's a couple of things. One, I come from a family of top performers. So sometimes, and I'm sure there's people listening that have gone through this, right? When you have a father or a brother or a mother or a sister that have all done well, like there is a big expectation, not necessarily by them, but that you put on yourself.
Yeah.
And ironically, it was never from my actual family. Like, they never put the expectation. My father didn't ever put any expectation about starting a business, or my brother around going into real estate. There certainly wasn't. I wasn't pressured in any way, but subconsciously, I was the youngest of 3 kids. You know, I looked at my sister who was in Europe at the time, doing extremely well in her illustrious corporate career there. I looked at my brother who, at 20 years old, opened up his first real estate office in Kensington down in Melbourne. And I looked at my father who'd literally come out with one shoe and an empty suitcase, and he had gone and accomplished all these amazing things. So, like, I felt there was a lot of pressure on me from that, number one. And then number two is I've always been a big guy, and when you go through an all-boys school, 2,000 boys, all-boys school, it is a challenge. And yeah, there was an element of, one might call it bullying, but, I had a choice to make. That was I going to use that as fuel and fire in order to take me to the next level, or was I going to sit there, sad because I wasn't there accomplishing the things that I was going to accomplish. So I made the choice, the conscious decision, the very, very conscious decision to go to the next level and go and beyond.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's mad. It's nice to hear. It's good to hear that, I reckon.
Thank you.
Because not everyone's just, it's not easy. It's not that easy.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy at all, and I'm very, very grateful that I grew up in a great family and I had great role models. But Andre, it's been a battle, and I'm not arrogant to think that it's easy now. Like I'm very committed to not just my business goals, but also my philanthropic goals. And we've had setbacks left, right, and centre in that world, especially after COVID. My business goals are doing well right now, right? And it's great, and the entourage is going great. And, Jack and I just caught up today and did some 12-month planning. So, we're in the process where we're moving solidly in the right direction. But the reality is that I truly believe that you need to live your life in gratitude, because if you don't, you are actually going to, you're going to be left behind. It's amazing. Look, two things. I think gratitude and forgiveness are the two amazing human qualities that really separate humanity. So when you can master gratitude and forgiveness, you basically mastered consciousness.
Yeah, and you are you still working towards that, or you think you've kind of got a?
I'm always
handle on
working towards
Yeah.
it, 100%. Like, I would never be, arrogant enough to think that I've got it all down pat. Like, I've got an amazing plethora of great role models and mentors, but I am constantly battling to be the best I can possibly be, and bring the best of Morello to everyone.
Yeah, whilst also being grateful for where you are, what you've got.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I feel like that's a really cool message. Like,
That gratitude piece is it's difficult. It's difficult,
Yeah.
Andre. Like, we live in a world where people are constantly, I suppose, constantly taking advantage and not appreciating the beautiful world that we live in. Australia is a prime example of that. Like, we've got the rest of the world right now in a free-for-all. There's people dying. There's people sick. There's economies falling apart. There's prostitution's on the rise, drug dealing's on the rise. Like, all these criminal activity. There's 50% unemployment in a thing called the pigs. The pigs are the Portugal, Ireland, Greece, and Spain. So in the pigs, which is across Europe, there's 50% unemployment for people under 30 years old. Like, we all got friends, and I'm just over 30, and it's like 50% unemployment. So imagine you're a young person right now living in Europe. You are feeling very disillusioned by the journey that you're on.
Yeah.
You're feeling very disillusioned by the world that you live in, and like, the reality is, true greatness comes from challenging life experiences, but you need to really go into with an open heart and an open mind and a heart full of gratitude.
yeah. So you started that by saying here in Australia, for example.
Yeah.
Like, compared to the rest of the world, we've got a good, and we need to recognise that. Is that
Yes,
kind of the
100%.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad we had that little tangent.
I'm
Yeah.
great facilitating from you.
Yeah.
You've asked a couple of great questions that no one ever
mate,
asked.
there's going to be some rip up.
I think when my dad listens to this, he'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember the diecast game."
Yeah.
He will remember that. Like, it's a beautiful story that he told me, like, and it's always resonated with me, because I've always been, okay, we need to be really succinct about what it is that our parents have given us. And, like, my parents gave me an amazing, like, my father created this environment of safety and security, but at the same time, he made us work for it. Like, he was like, you want to achieve something, you got to go out and get it, and he still does to this date. So, I thought when my mum passed away last year, it would soften him up a little bit. It hasn't softened him at all, which is great.
Yeah.
Like, in hindsight, I am appreciative of the fact that it hasn't softened.
Yeah. Right. So, The Apprentice,
Yes,
2010.
10. Yep.
It's the year before I graduated high school.
Here we go.
There you go. I would have seen it on
Good
TV.
times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Good times.
Good times.
Right. So, I want to know everything.
Yep.
Because we've never spoken about this.
We have not.
We've never.
I don't go around there with a billboard. So,
Yeah, but like, it's something we should talk about.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to leave it out.
This is the
I'll
forum.
beep it out.
This is the forum. This is the forum.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So, like, tell me about it.
Okay.
Mike Boris went to school with his kids.
You did. Yeah. Correct. Yes, you have told me that. So, his 4 boys, great boys.
Yeah.
I was very, very lucky to spend the last sort of 10, 11 years with Mark and the boys. Yeah, look, I didn't know I was going to go into business with Mark. Like, I went on The Apprentice. I thought if I come 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, great. Then I'll go back to real estate. I was doing $1 million a year then. I thought I'll leverage off some television exposure and write $2 million.
Yeah.
So like.
But tell me how you even got in, like the interview when you got in. Like,
Yeah.
How does that even happen? Your mate says you should go on The Apprentice, and
Yes.
you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
But then how do you actually go on The Apprentice?
There's a 6-stage interview process. So you start out being interviewed in Melbourne, which is like a sort of a process. There's like 10,000 people try out. Then it gets down to like 100 in each state. Then they bring you into Sydney, and then they do another stage of interviews, and then they then ironically, actually, I'll tell you a funny story. So out of 10,000, they shimmy it down to 100, then the top 100 in Australia, then 12 for the show. And ironically, there was two Andrews. Yeah. So there was me and another Andrew that were cast.
Yeah.
And they rang me and said, so like I've always been known as Morello. My whole life, I'm known as Morello, right?
Yeah.
Ironically, so my dad had on his service station Morello Motors. So growing up, we were always called Morello.
Yeah.
Morello Motors. Then when I got older, these hands weren't made for those who are listening to this, my hands weren't made for mechanical repairs. So my name ended up getting like evolved into just Morello, no Morello Motors anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the reality is that at that point, when I did the show, they rang me and they said, so I was Andrew Morello from Moonee Ponds, auctioneer and real estate agent. And then they said, oh, would you like to be called any other name? Do you have a nickname? Are you Andy or are you Drew? Or And I said, no, the only other name I'm ever called is Morello. Anyway, ironically at that point, being called Morello, is like I went on the show and then I got there and there was no other Andrew. And then like 4 years later, after I'd won, I think I was at the Portipolo in Melbourne. This guy walked up and he's like, bro, I'm the other Andrew.
Yeah.
I said, bro, where you been?
Yeah,
he's like,
you missed it by 4
I know,
years.
you missed it. And he goes, I got accepted, but his wife just, between getting accepted and starting the filming, because it was 10 weeks locked up in a house with no phones, no wallets, nothing. His partner or wife, I don't know the detail, had got him pregnant. And she was like, fair enough. She was like, I've just gone through it. She was like, oh, I can't do 10 weeks on my own, which is fair enough. You can't.
Yeah.
And so he never made it.
God.
So who knows? It would have been two Andrews. Who knows which Andrew might have made it? Yeah. But he didn't make it on the show.
So what? They called you Morello the whole show.
The whole show. Yeah. Correct. Which I was a big fan of, and
That's
I thoroughly enjoyed it. So
yeah. So you got in. You won that. It's not that, like, we don't have to talk about it that much, but it's cool. Yeah. Like, it's a very cool thing that you fucking won The Apprentice.
It is cool, and it was cool that it was the first one, and it was cool that it was with Mark Buritz. It's about to come back on Channel 9 now with Alan Sugar and my mate Josh Gibson. AFL Footballer is going to be one of the competitors or recipients or participants, whatever you want to call them. And there's a plethora of amazing people that are going to do it. So it's fun, bro. Like I saw it as fun.
Yeah.
So like there was two paths I could have taken. Like I could have taken the path on like I need to win this in order to set up my life. And I think about maybe like 2 years after I won, we were speaking at a conference, Mark and I, at a property conference in the Gold Coast, and I had spoken, then he had spoken, then they brought us out for a Q&A, and they said to Burris, they said, do you think Morello would have achieved the things he's achieved without you? And at that point, what happened was he said something very profound. He said, Morello would have always accomplished the things he's accomplished.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
He would have started his own businesses. He would have been an international speaker. He would have started his charities. He would have done everything because they're in his DNA, right?
Yeah.
But what I've done and what The Apprentice did and what Yellow Brick Road did and what being his mentee did was accelerate it. And this is what ironically, it's probably a segue into what we do at the Entourage. Is this where I tell people all the time, like often from stage, or we had 9,000 people log on or register for our event last week, and I'm always saying, in our Accelerate and Elevate program, it's not necessarily about the education. Well, it's not necessarily about the advisory or the coaching, but most of all, you get all of that, but most of all, it's about surrounding yourself with people that are going to elevate you to the next level, right? So, we've got nearly 1,000 members between our Accelerate, Elevate, and Fast Starter members, and it's like they're all coming in April for a 3-day conference, and I look at that and I go, okay. Imagine when somebody surrounds themselves with actual superstars and people that are actually making shit happen. That is the shit that's all about. That life's about.
Providing a conducive environment.
Correct.
What's it called?
And encouraging you to actually elevate yourself to the next level and step up to the occasion and go above and beyond the call of duty, right? So, that's the beauty and the opportunity, I think, in really where having a community, whether it's the Entourage, whether it's you know,
Apprentice,
whatever.
da-da-da.
No, but whatever it might be, you know, it could be Lions Club or it could be BNI or whatever it might be. Like I say to people, two things you need. You need a coach or an advisor to hold you accountable, and you need a community of people that are on the same path as you to elevate to the next level. That's what I say every single time. People always go to me, how did you get where you got in life? Is that I spent time, money, energy, and effort surrounding myself with the who's who, the best of the best, so that way I can be better every single day.
Fucking oath.
Fucking oath, bro.
Now, that is actually, you're right. It's a perfect segue into the entourage. So, from The Apprentice,
Yes.
you've done that. Boom. And from that, like, you're... Well, how does that work? They encourage you to, like, you get a mentorship or what? Like, how does that work? They encourage you to start your own thing and then they provide... What do you know what I'm saying? Like, what,
Yes.
How does that work? Or do you just decided, all right, hectic, done. Apprentice, done.
No,
Let's start
apprentice
over.
done. Then I had to go work with Mark for 12 months to get the $250,000.
Okay.
So I went and worked with Mark for 12 months, and about maybe 7 or 8 months in, he was looking to do a capital raise, and he wanted, you know, smart operator, wanted to cement me into the fabric of the business,
Yeah.
gave me an opportunity to buy in pre-IPO, so pre-stock exchange,
Yeah.
bought in for X, ended up IPOing at X. You know, this is all public knowledge. Everyone can Google it and find
whatever,
it
you
out.
have to- yeah.
And then
Make it work for it.
Yeah, but he gave me he gave me an opportunity to own a piece of the business, and off the back of that, yeah, look, I think it was a great, you know, baptism of fire for me. Like I hadn't worked in a large corporate, you know, sector before. I was exposed to, you know, board meetings, exposed to, you know, corporate finance. I was exposed to venture capital. I was exposed to investors. And
Yeah.
I think off the back of that, what I realised was that, you know, that I was destined for bigger and better. Not better, just more. Destined for bigger and more. Like, certainly not better. Like, you know, they're a world-class business.
People
but
know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I at that point, I realised that, yeah, I'm going to give this a solid crack. So I put my money where my mouth was, and I invested into Yellow Brick Road. That went really, really well. And then I invested into Entourage simultaneously. So Jack and I had been running events at my brother's Jealous Craig business in Kensington. At the time, he had a couple of offices, but Kensington office down in Melbourne, and then we were running it at the Yellow Brick Road offices in the
What
border.
is Yellow Brick Road?
Financial services.
Okay.
Yeah, wealth management. So, you know, our moral of the story was like, so I was doing them simultaneously. I was spending my Saturday, Sundays, you know, speaking for the Entourage and running events for them and being a guest speaker there. And then on weekdays, I was...
Bless you.
Excuse me, guys. On weekdays, I was travelling around Australia opening up Yellow Brick Road franchises. We opened up 135 franchises around the country. I headed that up. It was hard work, but it was fun work.
No.
Yeah, like it was fun.
Yeah.
I've got a rule in life: if it's no longer fun, I'll go home.
Yeah.
And it was just fun.
And so, perfect.
Yep.
Let's talk the Entourage. Because again, like, I've never asked you, I don't know nothing about it.
Yes.
I've never asked you about this. I'm actually genuinely interested. Like, what is the Entourage?
Yes.
Like, you know, how long you been involved?
Yes.
How'd you get to the top?
Yep.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Great. So the Entourage is Australia's largest organisation for entrepreneurs and business owners in the coaching, workshop, education and advisory space. We're probably in the top 5 internationally now as well, which is great.
Yeah.
We would be probably number 1 in Australia and Australasia, which we're pretty proud of. What it seems, you know, look, there's what Entourage tell everyone they are, and there's what I perceive it as because I've been this from the beginning. I think we're an enabler. You know, I think, you know, Jack Delosa, my business partner, and I truly believe that entrepreneurialism and business ownership can be taught, right? Like people have got this misconception. They think in order to be great in business, you need to obviously be, you know, some superstar or have this natural born gift. I'm a big believer in that, you know, like Tiger Woods isn't amazing at golf because he woke up one day and can hit a golf ball. It's because at 4 years old, he hit 1,000 balls a day for his whole life. That's the reason why he's great at that. So what we've tried to do is break down all of the things that Jack and I have learned, then all of the things that our mentors have taught us and that they've learned. And we're in the big believer that we try and enable growth. And we do it across what we call 6 elements. And we've got marketing, sales, product to market fit, finance, operations, and people. And across those 6 elements, we educate, we do workshops. We've got an amazing thing called Entourage Members Assembly, Entourage Entrepreneurs Members Assembly next month in April in Sydney. And so all of our members get to attend that nationally and internationally. Some are they're just looking at the COVID rules, but looking at coming in internationally as well. So, we've got a plethora of speakers. We've got an amazing attendance. Like, the reality is that, like, what we're doing, nobody's doing right now. So we're pretty proud of it. And, can we always get better? 100% we can. But at the same time, do we truly think what we're giving to the rest of the community and the rest of the entrepreneurial world is valuable? Yes, we do.
And so, do individuals come and approach you and be like, hey, I want a thing? Or even companies come?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. So, there's a number of programs, fast startup programs.
Sounds like an ad for the
Well,
tell them about it.
Look, it's not everyone's cup of tea, right? And we're very forward about that now. So if we think somebody's a right fit, we tell them you're the right fit, and we invite them in. It's like they can't buy it. It's not something they can go buy online or buy. They can't just ring up a 1-800 number and buy it, right? Yeah. So it's all done through an interview process. We're very protective of our community.
Yeah.
The reason why we do that, and I'm not going to pretend like, we were like this all the time. When we were younger, like when Jack and I were 23, 24, 25, we were in the business of making money. Now we're in the business of relationships. So now we know if we bring the right people into our community, they won't be with us for a year. They'll be with us for 3, 4, 5 years and beyond. So, there becomes what I like to call a paradigm shift around what it is that you're looking to actually accomplish in life and what, where you're looking to actually go. But most importantly, where you want to leave your legacy and what you're trying to create. So, like, this it's not a lifestyle business. It's not a business for sale. Like, it is. The reality is this business here is something that Jack and I are both very passionate about. We just spent the afternoon before here now working on, okay, how do I make this business better? How do I provide a better solution for people? How do I make life better for our members? Like, can we give them better education? Can we give them better mentorship? Can we give them better coaching, better advisory? How do we run a 3-day event that's world class where, you've got X amount of business owners doing X amount of revenue that are actually encouraging each other to go to the next level and so on and so on.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another curveball at you.
Great.
I think.
I love curveballs.
Look, I feel like we've discussed a lot about, I think we've reached the present.
Yep.
In terms of, like, your work life. I'm going to ask you a heavy question, I think.
I love that.
Maybe you're going to just smash it.
Great.
We've talked a lot about you in the context of your businesses, your jobs, your this, your that. Who are you without any of that? Who are you?
Philanthropy.
Yeah.
Charity. That's like, if someone said to me, someone actually asked me a question once not in a podcast, in an interview on stage, and they said, if someone put $10 million into your bank account tomorrow, what would you do?
Yeah.
And they're waiting for me to say I was at a business, it was at a real estate function actually, they're waiting for me to say,
invest in this spot, do this.
No, they're waiting for me to say like 10 million is not enough and I'll go keep working. I'm like, no, I'll wrap up shop. I'd move to Cambodia tomorrow. And I'd go live in Siem Reap or Phnom Penh. There's a place an hour out of Phnom Penh called Kandal where we've got one of our charities there. And I would just go work with the orphans, like that's what I would do.
That's you.
That's what I would do. That's me. That's the essence of Morello. Like if someone said to me, what are you looking to achieve in life? Is that I want to do 2 things. I want to, achieve the 2 great Australian dreams of being financially comfortable enough that I've owned all of my investments and that I own them outright. And the second thing I want to do is retire comfortably, right? Yeah. Retirement doesn't have an age for me. So like if someone put $10 million in a bank account, I was earning $1 million interest every year through some portfolio, like I would be more than happy to dedicate the rest of my life, whether that's my 30s, my 40s, my 50s, my 60s, to philanthropy and to my charity work, right? Like, because I get so much nourishment out of that. The only thing that's ever stopped me, and somebody did ask me once, what stopped you from doing it? The only thing that stopped me from doing it is that we live in this capitalistic world, and I've just paid about $19,000 in land tax today to the Australian government, which I'm happy to do because we live in a great country, but I've just had to pay a phenomenal amount of land tax for a number of my investment properties, all in one day.
Yeah.
And my insurances renew as well this month.
Yeah.
We're due this month for renewal, so that's my building insurance on those properties, also my landlord insurance on those properties. So like, the reality is, like, I would love to just go, okay, I've bought these properties now, I can just chill out and go take it easy. The reality is there's ongoing costs.
Yeah.
And so, like, I need to get into a position mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically that I can step away from those businesses, step away from those investments and thoroughly deep dive in. And I'm not far off. Like, I think, you know, if I removed all the opulence and all the, you know, fancy schmancy stuff in my life, like I could probably do it now. But I still enjoy you know, travel. I still enjoy going for a nice lunch or a nice dinner. I still enjoy being able to take care of my family.
It's all part of the experience anyway.
Correct. So, you know, right now I'm still having fun. Remember I said before, if it's not like a fun, I'll go home.
Yeah.
Right now I'm still having fun.
Let's talk about you as a spiritual guy.
Yes.
Because I know you're a spiritual guy.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yes.
It's a weird thing to say.
Yes.
It's a weird way to term it, but like...
I'm spiritual
I think it's,
but not religious.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why I said it like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. We don't, you know, at whatever surface level, whatever you want to... You have what deep you want to go. But like, I think that's an interesting... I'm just trying to delve into you, as, your personality, because I feel like a lot we've talked about is like the business side of things. And, and I just want to know... I just want people to know you as well. Like, that is a big part of you.
Yep.
But there's just these other little things, like the spiritual thing, and like, I want to talk about how you're a funny guy. We're going to be a funny guy, huh?
Funny how?
Yeah, funny how. Like that, all that. You know what I mean? I think you're, like you said, you're an interesting guy. I want to delve into that.
Yeah.
The spiritualism, let's go there.
So the spiritualism I'm very passionate about, right? So I believe there's a big, you know, celestial and essential shift going on in humanity and consciousness, and also in the fact that I think what's happened is what people perceive as religion versus spiritualism is becoming very different. What a lot of misconception, though, simultaneously of people's view on spiritualism. They think, spiritualism is religion. Now I think it's not. Like, I know, I'm not going to mention names, but I know a lot of very good people that go to church every Sunday that are not good people. Like, that's the reality, right? So, but then I know people that don't go to church anymore, but believe in, you know, doing the right thing. And yes, they might have grown up with what I call Christian values. And somebody asked me, "Will you baptize your son?" And I said,
a great question.
Yeah, and I said I would baptize him because I would baptize him in the Christian values. So, like, in my opinion, I believe that, you know, the Christian values have made up this amazing way of life, and, you know, whether Jesus was the Son of God or just the original hippie, you know, great. Like, he believed in forgiveness, and he had this amazing ability to communicate to people, and he believed in the messaging of loving thy neighbor and all of those things.
I get what you mean.
And I'm like, okay, well, like, whether he was the Son of God or not, whether he was just like a guy 2,000 years ago that was just walking the earth and believed in this message, like, that's the same as Tony Robbins. That's the same as Deepak Chopra. That's the same as, you know, you got to remember, like, the PR wheel of these guys. Like, Jesus was the original PR man. Like, they wrote a book. Now, what do a lot of these other guys do? Write a book, you know? Everyone buys the book, and then they get volunteers, and they get people to, you know, that believe in their messaging. And, like, the reality is Jesus was the original PR wheel, right? And whether you believe that he's the Son of God or not, I'm not detracting from anyone's religious beliefs or their spiritual beliefs. And I love Jesus. You know, I love Jesus. Whether he was the Son of God or not, that's for my personal...
I get what you mean.
My personal stuff, but I will say I loved him for what he represented, and what he represented was... you know, kindness, love, forgiveness. You know, even on the cross, he forgave, right? So, like, there's my theory in life, right? So that is what true spiritualism is, and I'm a big believer that forgiveness is the final frontier for human consciousness. So I'll repeat that again. Forgiveness is the final frontier for human consciousness. I think when you learn to practice forgiveness of other human beings, and when you learn to practice forgiveness of yourself. And sometimes when you learn to practice forgiveness for the closest people to you, like, you know, I just heard a story today from someone that I know very, very well, of two brothers in a country town in Australia that were in business together, an empire, and one's moved to Melbourne away from his brother because they've had a falling out. And I'm like, how is brotherly love not transcended the anger that somebody has? It's like, that's your brother. That's your blood. Like, it's not a mate. It's not someone you just met. It's not a business partner. This is your blood, right? And I'm like, you've both come from your mother and your father. Like, this is a beautiful thing that you share. And two brothers split the business, split the family assets, and they are now, one's moved to Melbourne away from his brother, and it's like, you know, and they're two Islamic guys, but I see it in Islam, I see it in Christianity, I see it in non-denominational, like people that are atheists, and I see them turn against each other, and I'm like, where is all this, like, you know, there's people that go, oh yeah, I'm Muslim, or I'm Buddhist, or I'm Catholic, and then or I'm Anglican, whatever it might be, and then you see them do that to their brother, and I'm like, doesn't matter who was in the wrong.
That's definitely not in the tenets of Islam.
There's my
is
point.
What you're saying.
Correct. It's not of any religion. Like, you know, it's like you know, you owe it not just to yourself, not just to them, but also to yourself to actually rise above that. But that's something I.
That's where the message comes through in spiritualism.
So going back to your question, what is my let's call it my journey or my awakeness with consciousness and spirituality has been? It's been an ongoing journey. It started probably when I was 15. I'm 34 now, so like it's been an ongoing journey of me trying to find what it is that I truly believe in, not just you know from a holy point of view, as in like, is it God or is it Jesus or whatever it is, but more what do I believe in with regard to myself. So like you know having, you know, love for one another, being able to forgive. You know, I'm a Piscean, so like, you know, let's talk it from an astrology point of view. I'm a very loving, very open-minded, very open-hearted person, and it's interesting. Like, you meet all these people, they're like, oh yeah, me too, I'm that, me too, and then you actually become friends with them, and then like they show you their true colours. They're like, oh, I hate this person from work, or I hate my brother, or I hate my mum, or I hate my dad. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you told me you were this loving, free-spirited person, and then all of a sudden you're talking about other people like that. So I've just tried to continue to stay true to the values that I think, of all people, my mother instilled in me.
Yeah.
You know, my mother had a very difficult childhood, a difficult life until she met my father. And my mother had this amazing ability to just give love to the world. And, you know, she died young, but I think her dying young just cemented more how important it was for me to carry the legacy of my mother.
Yeah. That's really cool. How that ties in. Yeah. Like, that's her influence on you, is that spiritual side.
Yeah, and she never pushed religion, bro.
Yeah.
Like, she cleaned the church on, you know, as one of her volunteer jobs, and she was, you know, in part of the Mothers Auxiliary and tuck shop and library at 3 Catholic schools, and like, she never pushed the religious agenda. She just pushed a good human being agenda. And so did my father too.
She did it by action, not
correct.
by like
exactly
words.
exactly.
It's funny because like, I don't know your parents, but like, I can see it's funny, like, your dad's the entrepreneur, your mum's the thing, and then you're like...
I try and be a combination of the both. Yes. Which I'm lucky enough to have that luxury, right? So, like, you know, people always go to me, oh, you've done very well business-wise or financially, and I turn around and I say to them, it's because I had... I'm not going to lie. Look, they never gave me anything, my mum and dad, but they gave me a mental, emotional, and spiritual emotional blanket where I could, like, all right, have a crack. Have a crack. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, look, you've still got a bed to sleep in and a bowl of pasta on the table, right? So, like, I'm very, very lucky I had that. I know that 98% of the world does have that luxury, and I'm not naive to not be appreciative of that luxury, and I will continue every single day to live my life in gratitude and honour my mother's legacy, honour my relationship with my mother, my father, and continue to try and be amazing.
That's mad. I think you're doing a good job.
Thanks, bro.
So far.
Giving it a crack.
We're almost done, surely.
Oh, well,
but, like...
there's plenty more in life.
There's heaps. But I want to... Oh, that's so funny. I heard my phone going off.
Yes.
And it's this.
It's
a warning.
Means we're on path.
Yeah.
There we go.
I want to ask you... The last thing I want to ask you... Not even ask you, talk about. I want to talk about the comedy career, mate.
Yes.
Where are we going? What are we doing? When's the first open mic?
This is the first time. No, you're asking the good questions today because I haven't told anyone about this.
Because what we're going to do, we're going to fucking plug it.
Yes,
and we're going to get a crowd there.
All right.
Like, we're going to get a crowd there on the first day.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, be funny right now.
All right. So, well, I don't know. I haven't done the course yet, right? So I haven't had. I've had an amazing career in doing like corporate speaking, public speaking, being what's the word? Auctioneer. So like I'm very very lucky and blessed with the amazing ability to be able to get up in front of a crowd and speak. Right. So here's the challenge. The challenge with that is that I'm great at getting up and speaking on business, finance, property, whatever it might be, and I'm really motivational speaking. I can do that every day of the week. But like I always look at comedians and even prior to looking at comedians, I was trying to find things that scare me. Yeah. So I've subscribed to this concept. Like I've skydived, I've bungee jumped, I've climbed Mount Kinabalu in Borneo for charity. I've done the Kokoda Trail for charity, like in Papua New Guinea. Like I try and do things that scare me all the time, right? Yeah. Like adrenaline junkie to some respects. Yeah. Anyway, what I realised is that I didn't have anything that scares me anymore. Yeah. Like it was kind of scary that nothing scared me anymore, right? So what ended up happening was I realised in order for me to go to the next level and to grow, I needed to find the next thing that scares me. Yeah. And one of the girls in my office, you guys can't see, but directly across in our operations and marketing team, a beautiful girl named Mariah, she went and did this, this 9-week course in comedy, and then she went and performed at a comedy.
The Comedy Store.
Yeah, one of the, I don't know if it's a comedy store, but one of those. So we all bought tickets and we went. Yeah, we all went, and she did an amazing job. And I said, I would love to do that. And she's like, and it was good that I got called out by one of our staff. Like, she was like, she's like, why can't you do that? Yeah. And I said, I couldn't do that. She's like, but you're funny. And I said, yeah, I'm funny, but like to actually be funny. And what I realised at that point, it was me being scared. Yeah. And there's a metaphor for life here, right? So like everybody that's listening or watching this, they can actually should realise that everybody goes through the same journey. Like it's not like, everyone's like, it's easy for Morello. It's not, because like I found something I'm scared of now, which is comedy. And I've, in my phone over there, I've come up, I've come out with a whole bunch of content. And you're right, it's very, like some people laugh, some they don't. But the thing is, I haven't spent the time, money, energy, and effort to actually work on it. So, like, I need to do this course. Yeah. Like, when I, here's the plug for Entourage. So what I say to people, like, I've gone and paid people to go teach me how to Vedic meditate. Yeah. Thousands of dollars. I've gone and paid people to take me on retreat and ceremony in Byron for thousands of dollars. I've gone and taken, gotten business coaches and advisors for thousands of dollars. And now I'm about to go get myself a comedy coach for thousands of dollars, right? So, like, if you really want to actually give something a go, like, it would be remiss of me to be on stage in front of 2,000, 3,000 people telling him they should buy a program or go and do this and have an exploration session or discovery session to see if their business idea is a good idea, whatever it might be. It would be remiss of me to stand up in front of thousands of people and say that, whether it's on Zoom or face to face, if I wasn't actually doing it myself. Yeah. So what I've gone and done now is I was booked in until the baby came. I was about to say, okay, so that's you've got. I was booked in until the baby came. So I do have a 2-week-old baby. Congratulations. And thank you very much, Lion Mane Morello. And so I will go into the next. Shout out to Mrs. as well, by the way. Yeah, Keneal, thank you very much for producing such an amazing baby. Yeah. There we go. She's an amazing girl. I've actually known her for 20 years.
Yeah, like we haven't brought her up once, and that's disrespectful.
No, correct. So sorry, Keneal. There we go.
Keneal, sorry, if you're watching this, Keneal, I'd love to have you on the podcast.
She's she's got her own business. Yeah, I know, I'd love to have her. She's travelled the world. She's an extremely worldly woman. She's being an amazing mother right now, doing all the difficult stuff that I certainly could not do. So we're very, very proud of the amazing woman she is. And I'm a big believer in surrounding myself with strong feminine energy, and she's certainly one of those. So big call out to Keneal.
There you go. Great. All right, well, that's that.
That's that.
Is that that?
That's that. Oh, well, look, I suppose if anyone does want to follow up or follow or anything like that, Instagram at Andrew Morello. Facebook is Andrew Marcello Morello. So that's MARCELLO Marcello. We'll put it in the thing. Yep. And the Entourage, feel free to follow that. Jack, my business partner.
It's all in there.
But yeah, look, I'm glad that I met you. I believe the meaning to life is the people we meet and what we create with them. I love the rawness that you are, Andre, and I love your family. They've become my Sydney family, so I'm thoroughly enjoying our amazing relationship. Did they tell you I bumped into them on the wharf the other day? So I'm walking out of Otto's in Woolloomooloo Wharf, and you know, 6-star restaurant, and then I'm walking down the street and I get Morello, and they're a China doll. So I ended up having a drink with your dad and your mum and your aunt and your uncle, and they're just beautiful people. And I think that's the reason why you are who you are. You come from good stock, I call it, and I believe that the meaning to life is the people you meet and what we create with them. So I'm looking forward to creating lots of things with you.
Appreciate it. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
And we'll do it again, but
100%.
in a year.
This is part one, guys.
Yeah, part one. Yeah, we'll
part
do it again.
one. 6 months.
But that was mad.
Yeah, beautiful.
I want to talk about the ceremony and the shaman and
We'll get to that in due course.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to do that. But anyway, thank you so much, Andrew.
My pleasure.
Okay, cheers. And
Great.
like, subscribe. Oh, wait, I didn't do that.
Great.
Like, subscribe to the YouTube, the Spotify, iTunes Music. Like, just do it. Get the numbers up.
Done.
Anyway, cheers.